Hello and welcome to this Let's Play of Lord of the Rings Return of the King for GBA. I'm StarCrafter Woo, and I'll be showing you the basics of how to get through this game with every single character. We're going to start by doing a new game. Right. 6 new controls. I'm going to start off by using Ewan because, at least in my opinion, she's massively overpowered and the second easiest to get through the game. The other one being Legolas. We're just going to skip through all that. Trust me, you missed nothing important. Eowyn is honestly the most powerful physical fighter in the game. She doesn't even have a ranged attack like most people do. So she mostly relies on swordplay, but she's got some of the most brutal offensive skills. Some really nice defensive ones, and her passive skills are just excellent for pure-on combat. Lord of the Rings Return of the King was made for the Game Boy Advance, and while it's made relatively obscure, it's probably one of my favorite movie tie-in games. In general, the Lord of the Rings series has been very good with that, and this is no exception. It was done by Griptonite Games originally, actually, who have received a lot of popularity for doing this sort of thing. They're reasonably unsung as far as that goes, as very few people know their names, but you've likely already played one of their games. Oh, crap's sakes. You've likely already played one of their games in your lifetime. I'm just got double strike. This is an excellent skill for Eowyn, and regardless of if you want to go with more passive skills or active ones, I would definitely expect you at least put a point or two in this one. 6. I'll eventually get these controls. Honestly, I normally don't suck like this much, honestly. Please believe me. As you can see, that's a little shrine. These places are basically there so that you can use your gems, which are the in-game currency. Interestingly enough, other than a random item lobby, you don't actually get items in the traditional sense. Let me just show you quickly. For instance, at the shrine, you have the ability to buy dried Kingsfoil herbs, which appear outside of your normal inventory in their own little slot where you can have up to 10, and act basically as health potions. Besides that, you can actually buy skill points, which cost 750 gems times how many times you've already bought it. Like, the next time I bought this, for instance, it cost 1500, 2250, so on. The attribute point is actually your attributes such as strength and stamina, which are essentially copied right out of Diablo. Any Diablo player will feel right at home dealing with them. And they cost 100 gems and go up 100 each time you buy them. Most people either go with a mostly passive or mostly active build. I'm going with a mostly passive build with Eowyn here because it's just the easier one for her. Although I'm still going to max out double strike because, as I said, it is an excellent skill despite how basic it is. The basic idea of double strike is that, well, like you saw, it quickly hits twice for double damage, but it also gets a +2 damage bonus every single level up. In other words, by the end of it, as the max level for anything but your ultimate is 5. The ultimates normally only have 1. Is 5. So you end up with a +10 bonus to damage besides the double attack. Given how quickly you can spam this, it is a freaking awesome skill. Kill the crows. That said, this game is punishing. Not at the moment, I'm just being terrible at playing, but most of the time it's quite punishing game. It can be very hard, and some of the segments are just downright evil with how they've been designed. Oh, for 6. Again, I'm eventually going to start being good at this game again. You just gotta give me some time. As you can see, it's a very Diablo style of play. One thing I do enjoy about this is that, unlike Diablo, rather than just give you the clicking for getting items and such. It actually uses the shoulder button, which is very good since, you know, you're on a Game Boy platform, so you obviously can't click. And it also leaves you relatively unobstructed in combat, given that there's a lot of food items that you can find on the ground, unlike Diablo, which give you a nice quick heal. Being able to choose whether you're about to hit the Urukai and sit in front of you instead of pick up the sandals, or pick up the health item instead of hitting the troll in front of you repeatedly until he dies and then picking it up. Overall, it's a really nice benefit. Early on, you're not going to be too worried about getting stuff like the skill points or attribute points. You really want to be more worried about your healing items because you are very fragile and you're getting a crap load of attribute points and skill points just from leveling up in the first place. By the end of the game, you're going to be able to max Stride Kingswale herbs and still be able to buy quite a bit of shit, though, because they're very cheap, and by the end of it, the gems that you're getting are quite considerable, especially if you're playing on hard or brutal mode. I might do a let's play for those modes as well, but I probably won't do it with as many characters, and oh, fuck you, Skype. Right. You get a large amount of money and you are buying something every second screen. Boost up your abilities. Right here, oh, I apparently leveled up twice and oh my god, I'm really bad. With this, when you start off, you'll want to put, until you hit about 50, regardless of the character, you'll want to put a lot of points in accuracy. Accuracy affects how often you'll hit the opponent when you actually attack, and if it is low, you are not going to hit shit, and you are going to be hit a lot by any person you come across, regardless how high your strength and other stats are, and you are going to take a crap load of damage. I'm just going to show you quickly the skill screen here. Like I said, there's double strike, which is really good regardless of if you're an active or passive AoE user. Shield Maiden of Rohan, which increases your chance of blocking attacks for a short period of time, so it's mainly a defensive power, and it is quite a good power in its own right, especially against bosses. I'm going with passive AoE, so you probably won't be able to see that in this Let's Play, but it's quite considerable when it's used. The Rohan Sprint increases your movement speed quite a bit. Again, if you're an active AoE, this is really good. If you're a passive AoE, just go with Fleet of Foot and save your mana for the double strikes. Shield Bash is not that good of a skill. It stuns for a little while, and yeah, you're doing a little bit of damage, but the damage is not considerable, and the stun is basically only 1 or 2 targets at the most. Moreover, from what I've seen, it doesn't work very well on the Witch King, so overall, that and the fact that it costs a fair amount of spirit. It's not as huge as some of the other characters have it, but it's still too much for me to really merit it as the most useful of skills. Porthia or Lingus is also a little bit of an odd one in that it can be good. I've seen people use it well, but it's very difficult to tell which foes are fleeing, and the entire point of making them flee is they'll take double damage and stop bothering you. You might want to put 1 or 2 in there just so that they move out of your way and, you know, a little bit of a crowd control spell. But I would not recommend maxing this skill. And right here is the Keen Eyes. It's a common one. Same with Herb. That just allows you to find a little bit better items. You'll often end up finding yourself making treasure hunter characters in this game because Ranger Hollows allow you to actually transfer items between players by leaving items in there, so you can actually, you know, exchange items between characters and even other people if you're going through a GameCube link. Yeah, the Herb lore is just adds an HP to how much you're getting from your healing potions, which I consider a neat innovation, but it's really not that useful. Normally the herbs heal you up enough that you don't really need this skill. You would not really want to put too many points at that. Nimble is really good for a passive AoE, as I'm showing by putting a point in it. It gives you a 4% chance of dodging bullets.